Well, good morning, everybody. It's fun to be back in here visiting with you guys and talking about something other than recruiting. We get to talk about spring football, and 2 days into the books, we had practice Wednesday afternoon, and then again last night, and had our two practices in non-pads that we had to open up the spring ball with, and I thought the energy was really good. I thought the focus was good by the guys, and they're eager to learn a lot of new things offensively and defensively, and they really attacked each day. And I saw really good improvement just in how the structure of practice went from Wednesday to Thursday, and really pleased with the guys. And now they're going to get, after today, a little bit of a break, and then we'll reconvene in another week. But it was good these first 2 days to just instill some of the practice habits that we're looking for, as well as to get the guys running around and getting into a football mode. So open up for questions.
I guess I'll just start with, for you, was there anywhere where you thought the guys were like ahead of where you thought they would be on like the first 2 days of practice? And then secondly, where's maybe the area you're like, well, this was a little bit lacking and I want to see us hit it harder in the next few weeks?
Well, because we're not in pads, it's probably difficult to answer of where I'd think we would be really far behind or ahead. I was really pleased with the improvement from day one to day two, and just how quickly they got a feel for what we expect at practice, whether it's bouncing from drill to drill or the amount of running that we did to the football, and amount of communication on the field. I thought that was really exceptional.
Coach, it's been 88 days now since you've been hired at K-State. You've had time to settle in, and the whole situation has had time to marinate a little bit. How would you gauge just the excitement level of these guys to start anew and to start with the Klieman era?
Well, I'm excited for the guys. They've been phenomenal. The relationships have been built quickly with myself, all the staff. I think the guys are really eager to implement the changes that we're making offensively and defensively. The excitement, whether it's been here at a workout or when we're out in the community or out on some of the trips that we went to visit fans, has been, I think, overwhelming for me. It's been really neat to see, but without question the guys are really eager to get going, as well as the fact that I still think there's so many guys that played last year that want to make amends for not being bowl eligible and making a bowl game.
I mean, to my knowledge, only one scholarship running back here for spring. I mean, how tricky is it just to manage the situation that's there right now?
Well, we have some bodies here, and we're excited about the bodies that we do have. There's some guys that are walking on that I think have really good ability as well, and it's a work in progress. I really don't look at it as who's on scholarship, who's not on scholarship at whatever position. We have guys battling for roster spots, fall camp spots, playing time. Are they in the mix? Can they figure out our schemes and things like that? But I don't look at it that way of who's on aid, who's not. It's just the guys that are out there are busting their tail, and they're learning what we're doing.
I was going to ask too, what went into the decision to do, instead of a spring game, just an interactive practice?
I haven't done a spring game in years. I think it's kind of gone away a little bit in college football. Some schools that have huge numbers still do it. But if you look at our injury report, we don't have enough corners to even practice right now. So to do a spring game and put guys in harm's way, football's a violent sport where there's a lot of collisions, and if you can eliminate and still do a thud practice, and still there's going to be some contact in that on that April 13th. It just won't be to the ground, or at least not a whole lot. There may be some. We're still kind of ironing that out based on what happens over the next 12 practices.
Obviously, the on-field stuff is still very early, a lot yet to sort out. But in terms of, emotional leadership, verbal leadership, have you seen anyone on the offensive line kind of step up and maybe fill those shoes that Dalton Reisner's departure has?
I'm impressed with all those seniors. There's so many older guys in the O-line that across the board, whether it's Franz or Holtorf or Mitch, they've done a great job, I think, of just getting the guys excited for the next period and doing their job, but encouraging each other. I see that across the board, offensively and defensively. Guys are holding each other accountable. That's something we've talked about since the day we started winter conditioning here, is hold each other to the high standard that's Kansas State football, and expect everybody's best. The expectations are high, and I like where our leadership is. We're always developing leadership, and we're always kind of challenging guys to lead in different ways. But I think both sides of the ball has been really good.
How valuable is it to have a guy like Skyler at that position with experience, who the guys already look up to, and not have to be developing that right now too?
Yeah, that's really pivotal. I think it's been really good. You can see how comfortable he is, even though he's uncomfortable in learning our system, which I knew would be. He's jumped into it with both feet and spent a lot of time on his own of watching film and seeing how it's been done in the past. And I really like his ability. I really like his leadership, and the fact that he's excited about the challenge of learning a new system.
Chris, just a short segue from absence of Kendall Adams and Dalton Reisner, team-wide leadership. I know it's early. You've seen guys start to emerge in those areas.
You bet. And when you have a big senior class like we do, you're going to have multiple leaders, and we need to have multiple leaders. Offensively, you're always finding a couple in the O-line, and then the skill positions. Especially Dalton Schoen's done a nice job as well. And then you look at the defense. You need to have a leader at every level of the defense, and with the upperclassmen we have in the defensive line, upperclassmen we have at linebacker, and then the guys in the secondary that have played a lot of football. It's neat because at every level of the defense, there's somebody that has that capability of being a leader now. We just got to continue to push those guys. Now, it's sometimes difficult because they're learning a new system. They're trying to figure out themselves a little bit to make sure that they're on par of picking up the system, but in the same respect, continuing to challenge each other to be better every day.
I know it's only 2 practices in, but he's been here for 2 months. What have you been able to see from true freshman quarterback Jaron Lewis, and how critical is it to have your quarterback here a semester early?
It's really important for him to be able to get a jump start on a lot of freshmen by being able to be here for the winter conditioning, to see how you have to operate as a college athlete under center. I like his confidence. He's just got an air about him, a swagger about him that's not overconfident by any means, but he's a guy that really feels good about his ability. And I've seen some really good things in 2 days. Once again, learning a new offense, but he's not engulfed by the moment. I think he really likes the moment and throws a really nice ball. So I'm excited for Jaron.
Your video staff has done a great job of showing us clips of videos of your workout so far. I know pound the stone's a big thing. How would you gauge the intensity of these workouts, and are the guys pounding the stone?
Yeah, they really are, and we've done a great job of getting a lot of things out there on social media. I know that was really important for us this winter and spring to show our great fan base what's going on in here, what the guys are doing, and how competitive they are on a daily basis, and the fact that they're challenging each other, and it's neat to see. And I haven't been able to see all those videos. I've seen glimpses of a few, and it's real. It's genuine. The guys are excited, and you can tell that when we had a 2-hour practice, and had great energy to start, and it didn't fade away. It stayed strong throughout the 2-hour practice.
I know the pound the stone is one of maybe creeds or mantras
Yep.
of your program. But when it comes down to it, at the beginning stages of everything right now, Coach, when you look at it, just what is your thumbprint? What do you want Kansas State fans to know about your program?
Well, that we're going to be disciplined, similar to what it's been in the past year. We're going to be physical. We're going to be fundamentally sound. We're going to have guys that are going to play for each other. Guys are going to hold each other accountable to the high standard that's K-State football. They have a chip on their shoulder. They want to have a successful season, and it doesn't start in August. It started back in January with our winter conditioning, and now we're just in the second phase of that. And like we talked to the guys after yesterday's practice, we got to continue to stack good days upon good days, and if you stack enough of those days, you have an opportunity to be successful. But there are no shortcuts. You can't, even this week that they're going to have in spring break, they need to get away and recharge their batteries, but they also need to work out some. They need to look at their install notes a little bit, because we're going to start rolling when we get back in that next week, and I'm confident the guys will do that because they're so excited about the progress that they've made. These guys, they understand the progress they made from day 1 to day 2 whether it's schematically or in how the expectations or how we want them to practice.
Last time we talked to Coach Messingham, he seemed pretty impressed with the receivers that he inherited. What have been your impressions of that group so far?
Really athletic, really good off the line of scrimmage. They catch the ball well. They're competitive. That's what I like is every program has that competition between defensive backs and wide receivers, and it's no different here, and it's healthy competition. I think the kids genuinely care and love each other at those two positions, so they want to battle. And, you know, we have guys in the, you know, you have Dalton and you have Risen, and I know Zuber's not practicing right now, but you got a lot of competitive guys out there that bring out the best in each other, and that's something that competition fuels the best in everybody, and that's a position that we do have great competition.
I actually was going to follow up on that about Isaiah specifically. He had an extremely up and down season last year. I mean, leading receiver in most categories, but had some miscues on special teams. Where do you feel like his mindset is right now?
Well, he's recovering from hip surgery, and you know what you did last year. I really don't care about what they did last year. I want to know what they're going to do today and what they're going to do tomorrow. Sometimes I think we get labeled, whether it's a coach or whether it's a player or anything, what you did in the past. And I know there's some merit to some of those things, but let's move forward on some guys. And he's one of those guys that I know is excited about getting healthy for starters. He's off the crutches. He's been off them for a couple weeks. He's been doing a lot of great rehabilitation. He's going into his senior year, so I know he's excited about getting back out there and competing with his brothers. What I've been impressed with Zub is talking to the young receivers about some route combinations or how they should run a route or where their eyes should be or where their what the coverage was, and that's what we have to have out of the receiver position, especially the leaders that are seniors.
Are you under the impression he is going to be able to take part in the spring at all?
No, not at all. No.
Oh, okay, so
No.
With him, how important, and I know each coach maybe phrase it differently, are the mental reps? If he's not able to physically go through the drills and what have you, how big is it for him to be in the classroom really learning?
Really important. There's so many guys like that. There's a long list of guys that had season-ending surgeries or post-season surgeries that are not participating, maybe in some individual drills, will have no contact. Gets back to our why we're not having a true spring game on April 13th, because we have 3 corners that are healthy enough to play. We don't even have 2 teams. So we have to make sure and get those mental reps. You have to learn what you see in the meeting room to what you see at the practice film, back to the film. It's never as good as what you're going to do on the grass. It's just never as good as being able to get out there and see it yourself. But the guys that have played Big 12 football, I think the mental reps, they understand the value of those. The guys that haven't played as much, it's going to be all the way through August or fall camp because you just haven't had those reps on the grass.
I'll just ask one more real quick. Is there any guy who you just maybe didn't know as much about him heading into this, and so far you've just been like wowed by him for the first 2 days of practice?
Well, for starters, I didn't know much about anybody, so that's good. And through 2 days, you know, because we're not in pads and stuff. Nobody that I'd say, well, I didn't realize that guy was that athletic or that quick or that big, whatever it may be. Just the excitement that all these guys have about getting out there and competing and having that willingness to learn. Sometimes it's difficult. You put a new offense, new defense, and you get 25 seniors. That's kind of like, boy, they're excited about the challenge that they face, and not physically but more mentally, to make sure that they can understand how they fit within each scheme.
I'm curious as to, coming from North Dakota State, where you had been through that many times and knew all of the personnel, and now you're doing this, what the first couple of days have been like for you?
Well, been tricky as far as challenging, watching film. You know, you watch it over and over. You know, we've had 4 team periods in the 2 practices, so 8 team periods, and trying to watch those 2 and 3 times, because maybe you're just watching the skill guys offensively and defensively. The next time you go through it, maybe you're watching the O-line and D-line, and you're looking at little things. You know, from a defensive standpoint, we look at the ability to shed a block, even though we're not in pads, but ability to run down the line of scrimmage or chase after a ball carrier and have a relentless pursuit. But it's been, you know, difficult. I've been pleased with our staff as far as knowing the guys, because when you see them in winter conditioning, nobody's got a helmet on and stuff. Everybody, you get to know those people. All of a sudden you put helmets on, you're like, okay, now who was number so-and-so? We put the names on the back of the jerseys, which I'm not a huge fan of, right? But we had to make sure that as coaches we knew who everybody was. It's been fun. It's been a blast out there for 2 days. And the reason it's been so much fun is the players, because they're having a lot of fun at practice. And when they're having fun, I promise you coaches are having fun. And that's the best part of our day as coaches, is the 2 hours we get out there. You know, we're in the meetings and that's fun and stuff, and all of a sudden you get out there and you see the excitement of a kid that's never done something before, and on day one struggled to understand it, and on day two it clicked for them, and you think, okay, that's because a kid spent some extra time and he wants to learn it. If you want to learn it, you're going to be able to.
I was going to ask too about Buddy and what maybe was the main reason or two that he was the guy you selected, and is any of that based on, you know, some of his knowledge of the Big 12?
Well, a lot of it is based on his knowledge of the Big 12, the fact that he is a veteran at that position. You know, he's been coaching for 28 years. I believe he's got so much experience. The relationships, how quickly he's built with the defensive ends has been really neat to see. He's a teacher, first and foremost. He brings a lot of added value to our defensive staff room, because that's a position, and I think we're pretty good at defensive end. I think we've got some guys there, but it's a position where it's changed so much because those guys are in coverage. They're not just playing the run, they're playing the pass. They have to be able to see a quarterback mesh point. They've got to do so many different things, and he's seen a lot of football, and he has a lot of great insight, and so I'm excited about what Buddy's going to bring to the table. And he and Van have known each other for so long, it's kind of fun to listen to their banter back and forth about the good old days.
Is there any silver lining to, you know, having just a couple practices, then a break, to really see what kids over this break paid attention to the stuff you tried to teach them, and maybe gave them this homework over this time?
Well, you hope there is. In the same respect, because we had so much installation of just general terminology, we needed this extra time to be able to meet with the guys prior to a practice. And that's the biggest reason. This is the first time I've done this. I've talked to a ton of people that have done this, where you have some practices go on spring break, whether it's 2, halfway, whatever it may be, then you go on spring break. Typically, teams that do that, you maybe have 7 practices and a kid turns an ankle, you get a week to probably get that guy healthy. We needed it from the standpoint of getting our terminology and getting, you know, just how to line up, how to come out of a huddle, how to do all the things that sometimes you take for granted. And so, you know, I don't know if we'll do this next year like that. We'll find out. Just depends on how the calendar shakes out.
It looks like you've kind of empowered Wyatt Hubert for leadership purposes in the videos we've seen through the social media and stuff like that. Have you named captains, or how's the process?
No, we have, I think, 10 team leaders that have taken us through some winter conditioning phases, and I've had some meetings with those guys just to talk about some culture things that I'm excited about, that those guys are taking ownership. We talked about that with those guys, and you guys have heard me talk about that. You know, if you give a kid ownership, he's going to get more invested, and these kids are taking ownership and getting more invested, and so we won't talk anything about captains until the fall.
I know it was kind of a, I don't want to say completely off-limits topic, but the previous staff here had never liked discussing injuries. I mean, you brought up how many guys were hurt. Are there any other names you're allowed to give us other than Isaiah?
You know, Isaiah is not participating in anything in spring. Brock Monty's not participating in anything in spring. Everybody else is doing something, whether that's individual drills to 7-on-7. I don't even have the list. There's a number of guys that would not be involved if it were a scrimmage because of shoulder, knee, whatever it be. And I know that's in double digits. And that's another reason why, you know, the spring ball is evolved so much over the last 10 years, whether it's your numbers, the amount of injuries you have, so on and so forth, that the worst thing you have as a coach is you have somebody get injured during spring and they miss any significant time in the fall, especially guys that have played a lot. So it's a fine line between teaching new schemes offensively and defensively, finding out from our own vantage point the kids that are really, really good, really physical, and we don't need to see much more of, and the kids that we have to continue to try to evaluate. And that's the tricky point of, I'm not a big scrimmage guy in the spring, never have been, but I've been a big thud, contact, let them run, but everybody stays on their feet. And that's learning how to practice. And we had 2 days where there were some guys on the ground, and it was just a t-shirt and helmet practice. And then you're just educating guys on here's how to protect each other. You know, I told the guys the first day, Kansas State's not on our schedule. And so we've got to do a great job of protecting each other and trying to eliminate a foolish injury.
On that topic, how tough does that make it for you guys as coaches when you're trying to evaluate a guy that you know this is not him, he's not 100% right now, and so it makes it maybe difficult?
It does make it, but that's why you got the summer, and that's why you got fall camp, and you're trying to evaluate movement skills. But more than anything, if a kid's out there to be able to do something, now you're evaluating his ability to learn, his ability to comprehend.
I know obviously his playing career is over, but is Mike McCoy still around the program, or somebody who gets to still be involved?
Yeah, Mike's going to stay around the program and help Coach Bratton, just doing some things with whether it's evaluating some guys in recruiting to helping us on the field, just maybe being kind of like a student manager. He would like to coach someday, so anything we can provide Mike to help facilitate his ability to be a high school coach someday, we're going to definitely do. He's just such a wonderful kid.